Welcome everybody out to sea. Man, so this is my post inpatient rehab update. And I'm so grateful to say that I have managed to paddle back to shore. My feet are stable on the ground. There's been some times over the past years where I didn't think I was gonna make it, you know. I figured the best thing I could hope for is just stay stable on my Suboxone for the rest of my life and smoke weed every day and drink. And that's the best I could do. At least I'm not slamming dope, right? And coming from the West Coast, there's so much of this harm reduction stuff being pushed where you're coddled. It's okay, you know, you do you. You want to die on drugs? Good for you, bro. It's all good. I mean, seriously, you know, a lot of the prescribing physicians I had out there told me, just stay on the Suboxone, you're good, bro. Oh, you had a relapse? It's okay. I don't need to be coddled. This is life and death, very literally. So, where I am in Tennessee, I'm not being coddled. There's no BS here. You're gonna do it or not, buddy. It's up to you. And if you want to, we got your back. If not, there's nothing I can do for you, man. I'm sorry. You're always invited back to the recovery community. But once you relapse, nothing we can do, man. So, I'm 35 days sober, man. 100% sober. The only prescription medication I take is 20 milligram lisinopril in the morning for the slightly elevated blood pressure I've had since like 2018. We'll see what happens now that there's no more drugs in my system. I'm willing to bet I'm probably not going to need the lisinopril anymore. Excuse me. Got my coffee, getting up early now. So, per the last video I made, I quit taking the Suboxone about 10 days prior to going to inpatient and switched over to some kratom that I ordered online. And I had them put a bunch of extract in it. Stuff was absurdly strong, man. It was like giving me wobbles. I had to really be careful how much I was taking. Towards the end, I was throwing up trying to gag that stuff down. I was literally having to gag it down. It was absolutely disgusting. Did the kratom help reduce the withdrawal symptoms from the buprenorphine? That's a hard no. Kratom does not help anything. It helps you stay strung out on opioids is what it does. So I entered rehab on December 1st. And I didn't even tell them about the kratom initially. I was like, it doesn't really matter, right? I took 6 milligrams of Suboxone, you know, last little hurrah, before I went in, because I didn't want there to be complications. I wanted it to be in my urine screening, da-da-da-da. And I wanted to be able to stay well for a day, right? By the next day, by the morning of the 2nd, I was rocking back and forth. I could barely open my eyes. I could barely walk. The withdrawal hit me hard and fast. And I was surprised that, you know, I'm in kind of the detox quarters before they put me in like these cabins. There was like 3 cabins that can hold about 15 men each. I was only in the detox ward for like 3, maybe 4 days. It's kind of blurry, to be honest. All they were giving me, well, they tried to give me Seroquel. Didn't take that. I don't need that. I was taking a little bit of hydroxyzine and a Robaxin muscle relaxer. Other than that, I was just taking a multivitamin, Tums, a little bit of Imodium. However, they did attempt to give me a tapering doses of Suboxone the first 2 days I was there. You know, I was surprised. I go up to the med counter, I'm rocking back and forth sick, and the lady's like, she gives me the little cup with the meds, I put that down, she's like, here's your Suboxone, you gotta sit over there and let it dissolve and show me your mouth in 5 minutes. And I was like, I'm not taking that. And the vast majority of the staff in this medical ward was awesome and supportive and in recovery. This was the one nurse that sucked. You could tell she didn't want to be there. She's like, "You're gonna take what the doctor says you take." And this big guy turns around, he's like, "You're a grown man, you don't want to take it, you don't take it." It's like, "Thank you very much, I'm not taking it. I did not come here to keep taking Suboxone. I can do that all on my own, just fine, out of rehab. I'm trying to get her done." And for the first 2 days, they continued offering me the Suboxone. And I'm sick as hell, rocking back and forth. My palms are dripping sweat. My armpits are dripping sweat. My legs are kicking. I'm crying, like nonstop crying, just emotional breakdown. I had to get it out, right? Like just let it happen. They gave me a tablet with headphones that has, the portal to everything we're doing for the day, but surprisingly enough, it also had access to YouTube. Some stuff was restricted, but I was able to listen to music. So that was a real treat. So I'm just listening to music, just crying in the hallway for days. And some of the medical staff really started, I got pretty close with a lot of them. They were impressed that I was suffering through the Suboxone withdrawal, knowing it was available to me the whole time. And they're like, "You hold firm on this, buddy. We love seeing this. You're fucking kicking ass." So I'm only in there for 3 days, and they moved me into a cabin, and the days were pretty grueling. They keep you busy. You can't just kick around in your room. They lock you out for like the vast majority of the day. You got to take your books and whatever you have in your backpack and a bottle of water, and there's like a big auditorium. There's various types of groups and meetings happening all through the day, and kind of custom tailored to, I had a counselor I talked with and kind of determined, what do you need here? He's like, "All right, well, we're going to get you into grief counseling and PTSD, like seeing a lot of crazy shit, and kind of been a little bit traumatized, even if it's been by my own hand." But yeah, they took really good care of me, and there was some cool classes too. We got to do some yoga, and there was a big gym, and they did have, this place has a really cool professional musicians group. It's outside of Nashville, so there's a lot of professional musicians coming through. I had access to a piano and guitars and a little recording studio. So I was not in the professional musicians program, but the guy who ran it heard me playing piano. They had a piano in each chapel, 2 chapels at this place. It's basically a Christian establishment, but they just call it spiritual to not turn people off, right? So I spent a lot of time in this chapel playing piano when I could. And the man running the program heard me, and he's like, are you a pianist? I was like, "Not really, I took a handful of lessons, I'm mainly a guitarist." And he's like, "Are you in the musician program?" I was like, "I don't think so, I once made $50 DJing a party, I don't know if that certifies me." He's like, "All right, buddy, you're in with us now, just come to the group." So I got to jam with some really accomplished musicians. The talent and intelligence at this treatment center was really astounding. The physician told me, he's like, "On paper, this is a drug and alcohol rehab, but I've come to consider it treatment for people that are too smart for their own good." So there was not one dummy in this place. Highly intelligent, highly functioning people. This addiction hijacks our instincts, our intelligence, all of that. So I'm kind of all over the place. I'm still a little scattered, man. It's still a little jarring being straight out of rehab. So the detox was absolutely brutal, man. Like the first 2 weeks, I'm like pushing myself to get up. I wasn't sleeping much anyways, right? Like the first 10 days, I was lucky to get maybe 2 to 3 hours a night. My hands are dripping sweat. My armpits are pouring sweat. my clothes hurt. It's like freezing cold, so you gotta be wearing a bunch of clothes outside. I so wish I could have just been naked, man. Like, my flesh felt like it was on fire, and just my clothes brushing up against my skin was painful. Like, my clothes hurt. Every time I kept going back to the med area to get my lisinopril or whatever, they'd ask, like, what level of pain are you in? It's like, 8. They're like, what's wrong? It's like, my clothes hurt. And they just look at me like, damn, buddy, just hang in there. On day 8, I crashed and burned. I could not go anymore. And traditionally, that's the hardest day for me coming off of buprenorphine. Around the 8th, 9th day, I cracked from sheer exhaustion. And I could not keep dragging myself to these classes. Honestly, I don't even remember like the first 10 days. And I was not taking any benzos. I was not taking any, it was just a muscle relaxer, some hydroxyzine at night, ibuprofen and acetaminophen. It was essentially a cold turkey. They're only giving benzos to the alcoholics so they don't seize out. So I don't even really remember the first 10 days, but I do remember dragging myself back over to Detox on day 8 saying, hey guys, I can't go anymore. I need to lay down. And they tried to tell me I had to keep going to class. I was like, you're not hearing me. Like, I can't walk anymore. I'm collapsing. And so one of them took mercy on me and let me go lay down on a couch in this lounge for the rest of the day. And I just needed some rest, man. I just needed to rest. And I got up and kept pushing. The first 21 days were absolute hell, man. I mean, I was absorbing everything I could. But it was absolutely brutal. It is possible, though. I'm on the other side of it. And a couple other men who were there heard about what I was doing. Damn, this kid is here getting off his Suboxone. He denied it. He's sick as hell, but he's getting through it. So, because there was modern day treatment centers, you're coming in there on fentanyl or whatever, they're just putting you on Suboxone. And I get it to an extent, but I feel like it's also just prolonging the inevitable. Nobody wants to be on Suboxone, man. I did not meet one person in there on Suboxone that wants to be on it. They all were really beating themselves up about it and felt terrible about it and wanted desperately to be off of it. So a couple guys got inspired by me, tried to stop taking it. One of them made it 3 days. The other guy just tapered down a lot lower. And I felt bad about that, right? And I talked to both of them, like, listen, man, I don't want you to beat yourself up. I've been planning this for a long time. I did taper lower. I was prepared to suffer. You're just willy-nilly wanting to jump off. Like, if you can suffer through it, great. But if you end up getting back on a low dose, do not beat yourself up. Try to view the Suboxone with gratitude instead of looking at it as though it's a scourge and the same as dope, because that's what everyone views it as. It's no different than being on any other street opiate, because it's an opioid. You're dependent on it. Without it, you're non-functional and sick as hell for a long time. And that's how I viewed it for a long time. I had to change my mind frame and view and say, you know what? This is not like doing dope on the street. I can live a fairly normal life, even though I'm dying inside. It's something that I just take a couple times a day. It kept me alive. It kept me alive. So I have to have gratitude for the Suboxone. And everything I've been through, man, all the attempts of, all the stuff I've done, man, I become very resentful before getting this out of my system, because like everything's failed me. I've tried everything. So, with so much sincerity, it all has failed. The world has failed me, right? Poor me. The vision I have in my mind's eye now is so much lighter and so much more peaceful. It was just darkness before. It's like I could see the light out on the horizon, but it's like there was a brick wall and I couldn't access it. And even, I started noticing this about 2 weeks off of the buprenorphine. It's like, oh wow, it's light in my head. There's peace. I'm on the other side. I've managed to paddle back to shore, man. I'm not drowning anymore. I was told I've been given the gift of desperation. I never complained. Totally willing. It was really funny. Some of the guys in there who were like the biggest gangsters were also the biggest babies, constantly moaning about something. I just got to a point where I'm willing, man. Like, I've done everything under the sun. I've got a family. I've got so many reasons to live. I can't keep dicking around here. Just get it done, whatever it takes. And that gift of desperation, man, there's a lot of relief in that. I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not desperately grasping on. Just let go, man. Just let go. The vast majority of what happens in this world, I have no control over. My pull is very limited. I can be of assistance in my community, in my neighborhood. I can take care of myself and I can take care of my family. I can pray. Everything else, man, sun comes up, sun goes down. We're on this blue marble hurtling through God knows what. Powerless, man. Powerless. But I have a choice. What am I going to put in my body? What am I going to allow into my mind? How am I going to carry myself? Just getting the drugs and alcohol out is the tip of the iceberg. And I'm back in a 12-step program, actually going to do it. I made a video talking about the pitfalls of 12 steps in the past. I never actually did the program. I never actually made it through the 12 steps and had the reciprocal relationship where I'm helping take others. I help them, they help me. It's a reciprocal relationship. So I'm done looking for the sponsor that's the cool guy that I relate to. I got an old man who's a Vietnam vet with 40 years under his belt, and we met yesterday. He very gently told me to stop sharing at meetings. I've gotten to a meeting every day since I've gotten out, and I'm going to do that for quite some time. Talking a couple hours a day. How much time did I have to put into putting stuff in my body before this? My God, man. Not just expensive habits, but the time it consumed? Holy smokes, dude. Like, my life is looking a lot different. It's looking a lot different, and I'm so grateful. So I'm just staying dialed into this super strong recovery community, taking it easy, one day at a time is a really good cliche because it's true. Like, after 2 10-day silent Vipassana meditations, the phrase one day at a time never sunk in. All this stuff I've done, all the psychedelics, talk about being present, be here now, bro. I never got it, man. Stuff just made me insane. And so I'm doing really well. And if anyone would, you got any questions about this process I'm going through, toss them in the comments. If you'd like some information about the particular center I went to, which is rated it's within the top 10 in the country. That being said, they give us a lot of hard bricks of truth. That out of the 50 plus guys I was there with, the reality is that in 5 years, only 5% of us are going to be sober and or alive. Now, caveat to that is the people that actually stay involved, the few people that actually surrender and stop jacking themselves off and do the meeting programs, stay involved in the alumni services at the treatment center, like make a community out of this and walk the walk. In 5 years, 95% of them are sober and moving forward. So it's like which way you gonna go, buddy? You gonna go to the dark or you gonna go to the light? I know what's down that dark road, and sometimes familiarity is comfortable. Even though I'm stewing in a 5-day-old dirty diaper down that dark road, it's kind of nice. I know it down there. This other road with the light, unfamiliar territory, man. But I like the feel of the light a heck of a lot more than the dark. So I'm just gonna keep pushing forward. 35 days sober, actually sober. And the last time I had a true stretch of sobriety was 2003 to 2005. You know, after the Ibogaine and ayahuasca and meditation, I was not totally sober. Still smoking some weed, bro, like doing whatever else. It's just a little 2CB, buddy, you know, it's all good. So, much love, everybody. Take care of yourselves.